part 3 of the running fundamentals process, we're talking about pains that people normally suffer with to keep them from running, and whether or not you should wear orthotics. Now, we talked about shoes in the last one and how to tell if your feet are ready to run. But once you get started running, what I want you to understand is things are going to hurt. Now, this is always seen as a problem when people say, if I'm running, I should never be in pain. Well, it depends on the threshold. Running by itself is not dangerous, nor is it going to put you at risk of getting hurt. Running under constraints will. Now, this is what we'll talk about, how to add volume safely in the competition part later on. But just understand, if I say go run, there's nothing dangerous about that whatsoever. But if I say go run in this time, run for this distance, run for this pace, run in these shoes, run in this setting, now I've put constraints on it, and that's where it gets problematic. When you get to a certain level of threshold, you undergo a new confidence cycle. So I've upgraded, I've broken through a pain. A pain is a contracting force that gets me to focus on something. I've upgraded and I've gotten stronger. Now that new strength allows me to work in a new level. This confidence cycle puts me in a place where I'm now at risk of getting hurt. But the thing is, the risk for getting hurt means that I'm butting up against a higher level of challenge than I was before. Now that's good because it means you're progressing. If you never actually progress, you can stay in the same little, like you can sit on the couch and never get hurt your whole life. But if you're going to try and push yourself and compete and get stronger, run faster, run further, then you're going to run into pains. Now, how you deal with that and what you do can make the difference of whether or not this is a quick pain that goes away in a day or a week, or if it turns a lifelong chronic irritation that keeps you from actually running. The most common pains people have are plantar fasciitis, which is pain generally around the bottom of the foot, Achilles tendonitis, so irritation at the Achilles tendon in the back of the ankle, and then shin splints. Shin splints are going to be pain at the inside of the knee. So what you'll notice is that these are basically any area down there where you're making contact. And this stuff is to be expected. I mean, you're running, you're taking thousands and thousands of steps. So it is a lot of work. And the biggest problem is it's not overtraining, it's under recovering. Most people get into running and they think of it as their therapy. They get in there and they want to run. I got to go get my workout. I got to get my cardio. I got to burn off my calories. And that means to do more and more and more. And the idea of taking a day off, why would I do that? I lose my progress. I lose my gains. I get out of shape. That's where you get injured. So if you're in pain, it's because you generally got yourself to a place with bad form, that you were enabled with bad shoes, that let you overdo what you could do, and then you didn't recover. So just understand that is the thing. Pain is not the problem. It's a signal from your body to say, hey, let's think about what we're doing. Are we strong enough to do this? Have we done enough preparation for this? Are we training too much? Are we taking time off to be able to recover? Those are the things you want to remember. So when you have these things, generally speaking, when you have plantar fasciitis, it is simply that the tissue on the bottom of your feet has gotten too stiff and has not gotten motion. My feet have been held together, and I'm hitting the ground over and over and over again, and I'm not getting the fluid motion there. The issue that makes plantar fasciitis challenging to deal with is that it feeds, literally, the tissue feeds into the Achilles tendon. The tissue that is on the bottom of your foot wraps around the heel and becomes your Achilles tendon. So it turns into, if plantar fasciitis is not dealt with, or it shows up as Achilles tendonitis, this is the same root cause. I do not have the strength in my calves and in the feet to hold position while I make contact with the ground. If you think about it like a bungee jumper jumping off of a bridge, the actual muscle is the bridge. It holds a position. The weight is the bone, is the load of your body falling. That's the person. The bungee cord is the tissue. That is the tendon, the plantar fascia, the fascial tissue that stretches and pops back. If the muscles are not strong enough, or if the tissue is not resilient enough, I will get to an irritation, which is not getting enough hydration to the tissues to the point that they dry out and they get irritated, like a sun-dried tomato or someone pulling hair in your scalp. It creates irritation at the insertion points. That is what causes the root of plantar fasciitis and Achilles tendonitis. The other part is that all of these tissues from the bottom of your foot, through your calf, your Achilles tendon, through your hamstring, to your glute, up into your spine, your thoracic spine, your upper back, those are all connected. If I have weakness or stiffness anywhere because I'm sitting down all the time, that can present a stiffness here, pain here, tightness here, irritation here. It is all connected. You cannot think that I'm just going to go run and do my strength training and that's good. Running is not sufficient to be strong enough to run. Running is a form of movement. It is not a complete form of training that is sufficient enough to keep your body healthy, especially when we live a sedentary lifestyle where we're sitting down for most of the day. So keep in mind, if you have plantar fasciitis or Achilles tendonitis, it is a problem of the entire body. You've got to start working on strength training for everything from your neck down, and you have to start working on getting the feet strong enough to develop plyometric load. Those are essential. Because if you do not maintain that, you will run into the third problem, which is shin splints. That is pain on the front of the shin, the inside of the tibialis bone, or the inside of the posterior tibialis. When it comes to shin splints, there are several pains and different names for syndromes and diagnoses that have the same root cause. Basically, you're not strong enough to run, so you're overstriding, you're putting too much force in the ground that your body, the bone, the tendon, the muscle has to deal with, and it causes irritation there. So if you do not have the strength in the posterior chain to support yourself, and then the hips to pick yourself up and the feet to support it, you will load poorly and you will cause pressure on the bones. Now, keep in mind that shin splints as a form of microfractures of the bone is not always a bad thing. When you start doing heavier loaded stuff when I'm running and sprinting and jumping, I'm going to get to a point where I overload my body. The bones will break down and fracture, but that means you're going to get stronger. Again, it goes back to the idea of the original problem is that I'm not recovering well enough. So keep in mind that pain in the feet is a problem with pain in the rest of the body. Now, this will wrap up with whether or not you should wear orthotics. Now, orthotics are the crux of the issue because people look to orthotics to fix their problems. They think, I'm going to get a pronation control shoe. I'm going to get a thicker stability shoe with a raised heel. I'm going to get orthotics to put in there. The problem is that these things are only treating the symptoms. They are not treating the root cause. And they're kicking the can down the road. If you're in pain and you're wearing an orthotic, you're only subduing the symptoms at best. At worst, you're making it worse and you're going to have knee pain, hip tightness, and foot problems later on. That is a promise. Orthotics weaken your feet. What I want you to focus on is that your pain in your feet, your shins, your lower legs are symptomatic of not being strong enough. That means you need to back off the volume you're doing, back off the form you're doing, think about your shoe choice differently, strengthen your feet, and get to a full body mobility and strength process that will allow your body to move fluid. But what if you're wearing orthotics right now? Should you just ditch them? After having done this with thousands of people, I've recommended hundreds of people to take their orthotics out, and I've never had a setback or problem. That being said, I understand that there is an emotional control where this thing has gotten you out of pain and it's helped. I have yet to see someone thriving from orthotics, but it doesn't mean that you have to take them out right now. My encouragement to you is to start thinking about the shoe choice and working your way out of them. Take them out when you're walking around and you're standing in your everyday life. That's a great place to start. Get more confidence there. Over time, as your feet get stronger, then you can think about building up more space in your running to have running without the orthotics. Over the span of a few weeks, you will be able to get strong enough so you do not have to ever go back to them and you will not have a setback. But take your time. You do not have to throw them out away, especially if you're not in pain. If you are in orthotics, you take them out and you get in pain, there are other things you have to focus on. The orthotics are not going to be the fix. And to finish this video, what I want to talk about is what happens if you go run and you feel like, oh, my calf is starting to blow up, or my shin's starting to get tighter, my knee's starting to hurt. Understand that running is not a two-dimensional, one-vector movement. If all you're doing is running in the same direction, like you're on a treadmill and you're doing the same exact foot stride, doing this for hours and miles, that's not that different than sitting in a chair. And we all know how bad sitting in a chair is because you're keeping your body stuck. So if you get stuck and stiff, turn sideways, do some shuffling, do some motion left and right, get on your feet and move your ankles around, wiggle your toes, get your body to move, shake up the stiffness of what you're doing. And you'll be amazed at how your body starts to loosen up and open up, because running is not meant to be one static thing where I do this for hours. It's like a mental grind. Running is about movement. It's about navigating territory. It's about stepping and adjusting to the circumstances you're on. Use your feet, wiggle your toes. You'll be amazed at how quickly you'll be able to open up and get everybody loosened up. But don't forget, when you start to feel these pains as you're going, use your body to pull the tissues and start to loosen things up. And if you need to walk for a minute, it's totally fine. But just understand that when you feel these pains, it's because of stagnation in the movement. But as part of that variation in movement, we're going to talk about strength training. What you should do, how you should think about it, whether or not you should lift weights. That's in part 4.